We're better together with Ann and Heather.
Oh, hi, everybody. Welcome back to
It's called Better Together.
It is?
With Ann and
With Heather and Ann?
All
right.
No, we talked about that.
Oh.
It's Ann and Heather.
Oh, it's Ann and Heather. Oh, that's really funny because it rhymes that way?
Yeah.
Oh my God, so cute. Welcome back, everybody. It is really nice to be sitting here in Heather's beautiful home. I was away for a little bit shooting a movie called Girl in the Motel, which was unbelievable. I don't often talk about my acting projects, let alone watch them, but this movie was called Girl in the Motel, and it's coming out in October on Lifetime, and it is a movie about the sex trafficking industry that is going on, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it just is jaw-dropping. Is jaw-dropping of the horrors that really happens to our girls. And of course, that is something that goes along with everything we believe, which is abuse has to be eradicated. It's very, very important that we tell these stories. And so to have been, I play a mother whose daughter gets kidnapped and it's the journey of her going to rescue her child. It's based on a true story. It was grueling in the best of ways. I know you like when I get to dig in.
While you were working, I was at home trying to work, but what happened was in the sidebar of my computer.
You had an ADD moment?
That Johnny Depp trial.
Well, listen, I mean, obviously.
Drew me the F in.
Yes.
And as our listeners may not know, we record today we're at the house, but we usually record from our studio, which is in the Eastern Columbia building, which is where all the Johnny Depp drama.
I mean, I just moved out of the sister's apartment upstairs. One of the things that I don't...
Yeah, so we were on the penthouse floor for a while.
Yes.
As well, which is the floor with...
Which is the Johnny Depp floor.
The drama. And being there, we got to know a lot of the people that live there, and the drama of Johnny and Amber, really the drama of Amber, was told to us before the trial even started by the people who lived there. And I mean, this is just straight gossip and dish, but they all talked about how unkind she was and how mean she was to him.
Well, the entire building is set up really to be it's a live work building, and so everybody there is pretty much artists. You get drawn into that place for a particular reason, and of course, Johnny was kind of the king master of an artist building. He lived at the top. He had all of his friends basically living up there. Not all of his friends living up there, but it was a real community of artists and
can you imagine if we owned that whole floor?
Just incredible. But one of the things I do want to say, if there's I did not follow the trial. I respect Johnny. I loved working with him. That was years ago. I do not know him personally, other than I know his soul, because you can't lie that way. Abuse is something that is a disease in a culture that is spread through privacy and secrecy and hiding the truth. There is a bottom line, and I don't know if this ever came up in the trial. Bottom line, you do not have people around you who could see, witness, or experience on any level what that abuse would be, because the whole entire part of it is that it happens behind closed doors. Yes, go.
The point you're making is that if generally speaking, abuse happens in secrecy. So if you are an abuser, the chance that you are going to rent an entire floor and put all your friends and family
around to witness every single thing you're doing,
and her friends and family,
right? Exactly. Open up the doors. It is the exact opposite of what abuse number one.
Give them all free places,
free
to
reign
stay.
to come and see what you're doing, and
it doesn't add up.
0%. And also, you don't go searching for a bruise. Also, abuse is a habit. It is a pattern. It is a perpetual and horrendous habit that infuses and destroys from the moment it enters a room. It's not something that you chase after. And from what I could hear from, multiple, did you see this? Did you see that? Weren't you a little bit starstruck when you saw our doorman the other day?
Well, I did. So the guy that's at the desk was my favorite interview, because they asked him, and he's just sitting there. He's so disgruntled to be interviewed for the trial, and he's on television. Like, it's like, you would think he would be starstruck, right? No, he was vaping from his car, completely disgruntled. And as he's talking, Johnny is just dying laughing because they're like, did you notice that Amber was wearing eyeliner? He's like, I don't know. He's like, did you notice if Amber was wearing eyeshadow? He's like, I don't even know. Did you notice if she was wearing foundation? He's like, I don't even know what that is.
What do you want to ask him?
And then he said, so you didn't know if she was wearing foundation, eyeliner, or blush, but you are certain that she didn't have a black eye. And he's like, look, I don't know what eyeliner, blush, and foundation are, but I certainly know what a black eye is. And she didn't have one, And it was like,
my God.
Mic drop. It was so fantastic. But you know what? We're both, as mothers of sons, it's a very dangerous thing when somebody can accuse somebody of something so severe like that. And I mean, look, our justice system played it out. We all got to see it.
Yeah, false accusation.
The moments with the rings for me was the best when they said she was sitting on the stand and they said, now you testified that Johnny always wore big chunky rings on every finger. She's like, yes, he always wore big chunky rings on every finger. And then they said, was there ever a time that you saw Johnny without those rings on his finger? And she's like, I've never seen him without, and we're all, as a viewer, you're like, what? Oh, girl, you can't see where this is going?
Oh, yeah, right.
And she's like an idiot up there going like, oh, no. Always. Never were they off. And then they show the picture of her of the night that she said he punched her in the face several times. And it's like a little bruise. And then they show the rings that are like sharp, like, deer
they're like devil
or
rings.
whatever.
With skulls.
And then they're like, so you're saying that he punched you in the face with all those rings on and there's no cuts or scratches? And she's like, well, I can't be certain he was wearing the rings that night.
Oh, like, except for then. I mean,
and it was like, girl, bye.
A little girl, bye.
So that's when she lost me. That's when I'm like, you know what? Liar,
then, huh?
liar, pants on fire.
Okay. Well, I think she unfortunately didn't get her pants lit on fire, but she should. And
she did poop in his bed.
That was, I mean, can we...
I mean, I don't even know what to say about that.
That's abuse.
That is abuse.
That's abuse.
I think I'd rather have you...
That's abuse. Yeah. All right. Let's just call a spade a spade.
So,
but what I also want to say, and you know what? I'm glad that the truth came out. And by the way, there is no way in hell that Johnny Depp would be on trial suing somebody knowing that his entire life is going to get exposed, including the shit on his bed. Gross. Horrible. He would never do it. You would never do it. He knew what was going to come out. Don't do that to people. Do not falsely accuse people of some. It destroys. I cannot imagine how many years, how this just rips somebody apart when you falsely accuse them of something. And I'm glad he stood up for himself, and I'm sorry that he had to go through that. And if anybody hasn't seen The Tourist, you have to see it, because by God, there is a person there, Johnny Depp, who is not only just a human being, he's also one of the most magnificent actors on the planet. And he did a movie with Angelina Jolie that I just saw, and I just want to remind everybody, like, listen, this dude is, you go look at his face in this movie.
It was taken away. His career was taken away, which is why he did this.
And by God, he's just the gift the gift that he gives. You have to watch the movie. It's the most romantic movie in the world.
So the one final, and then we'll be done with this.
We'll go, and then we'll get to the point.
My final fave, because that's all I did, was I cheated and watched the highlights of the trial.
I'm doing the most harrowing movie of my life. I worked 17 hours a day in the middle of
I was working too.
You were working.
I was working, and then
she was working on this podcast, so she could gossip.
And then on the sidelines, they come for you with this stuff. They know that I want to see it, and they know about my ADD. They being the information superhighway. And
by the way,
click,
we're on YouTube,
and then I'm done. Okay, so there's a scene there, and by the way, her lawyers were.
Are you talking about the trial as if it's a scene?
We're over her. Oh yeah,
like it's a scene in a TV show. She's already like.
Yeah, so in the second act, there's a moment
it's
where,
on Lifetime right after my movie.
Her lawyers, who couldn't be more over her, say to Johnny, so at this point you poured yourself a mega pint of wine. And because he's such a good actor and his timing is so right, he just chuckles and he goes, a mega pint?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know what a mega pint is.
What's a fucking mega pint?
I poured myself a very large glass of wine. So now I was on the street the other day and I saw somebody wearing a shirt that said, I'll have a mega pint, you know? So it's like this whole thing. And pour yourself a mega pint, y'all.
I mean,
anyway,
what a disastrous thing to happen.
We're happy
to,
for Johnny
to a human being and his family.
And that girl's screwed. I think I will say
just because this happens doesn't mean that the years of pain and horror and torture that he went through, imagining that this was a truth that people were now starting to try to wrap their heads around, whether they believed him or not. And this is what happens in our culture. It's not guilty until proven innocent. What happens is you're guilty and everything else, but you have to suffer the ramifications of it. And then, oh, good, 6 years later, now you prove what we all knew. We all knew you didn't do it, Johnny, and now we get hired back again. It's just repulsive how the culture has to jump on board with an accusation.
One last item was when Kate Moss came on and testified.
Did she?
And said how kind he was to her. And they in the trial, they had said, Johnny threw her down the stairs. And she comes and testifies. She goes, I fell down the stairs. Johnny came and picked me up, carried me, put me in bed, and called for medical attention.
Oh my God. He was going out with her when he did Donnie Brasco.
And he was never abusive to her. He was never abusive to his wife, or the mother of his children. Anyways, all right.
A person is an abuser or
anyway,
not an abuser. You don't,
Johnny Depp.
Well done.
Where's
Steve, man? Everybody go.
He
everybody
took one
watch
for the team, really, by fighting that fight.
He really did. I mean, my God.
I'm glad he
won.
won.
Justice came.
Now, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have some recap to do.
Here comes the groom. Here comes
dressed
the
in
groom.
white. So if you guys haven't seen the episode of our producer Ryan with Frank Paris, you must watch that. And then you'll be up to date with what we're about to bring you up to speed with. Ryan, our producer, went to Mexico, and we're going to find out if the wedding actually happened.
Oh my God. It is such great sorrow that I did not get to attend Ryan's wedding.
You were filming.
I mean, it is so sad when this is one of the things about being a working actress. You got to take the job, and so I missed Ryan's wedding, and I haven't even seen a picture. But
that's a hard thing to come by, let me tell you.
Oh,
I don't understand. It was like,
super private.
you could maybe find a Sanskrit, or maybe they etched it out in stone or something.
Did they put a time capsule in the ground? We'll have to go get it 50 years later.
But anyways, Ryan's going to join us.
We would like to, Brian. So we call these just the two of us.
Just the three of us.
And we're going to do it just the three of us today. This is just
so Frank Paris gave Ryan a reading. And Ryan had no idea what was about to happen. And Frank is a psychic healer who has the ability to go to find what he calls the original wound, the thing that at some point in your life had such a profound effect on you that all of your decisions and the things that happen to you in your life relate back to that. And he just has this ability to look at a person and see that. And that's what he did with Ryan.
With Ryan. So
and
we're
Ryan's
going to
give us
Ryan,
the
will you
update.
come join us? For just the three of us, we can make it if we try. Just the three of us, you and I. Hi, Ryan. Welcome to our show. Have you ever listened to Better Together?
Many times.
Yes. Ryan, we want to say congratulations on your wedding. We're sorry that we couldn't be there.
No, I understand.
We have a present for you, though.
You do?
Yeah.
Yes.
What do we want? Do you want to tell him?
I thought you were about to make out or something.
We're going to make out in front of you.
I would never.
That would, I think it's Heather's number one nightmare. You remember our gender discussion. She is a she.
No, I'm a cis.
Oh, cis.
Yep.
She's a C. I knew it started with an S. No, we're not going to make out for you. Okay. That is not the
but we
good.
wanted to treat you and Mags to a weekend at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
That is so great. Thank you.
Like a little mini honeymoon.
Love it.
We thought that you didn't have a little
staycation, a room by the pool.
Oh my God.
You get a room by the pool, and it's really fun there. Have you ever been there? You can bowl and stuff.
They have a bowling alley?
They have a bowling alley inside, and you'll be by the pool.
I've been in there once. I recorded a podcast there once.
So anyways, you pick the weekend, let me know, and enjoy.
It's your
thank you so much. That
staycation.
is so sweet. Thank you.
Everybody needs a break
We
after
were
a
trying
wedding.
to figure
do you
out what
think?
to get him, and we didn't want to get him a bowl or
like here's some coffee mugs.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
no, I love that.
But we did look at your registry, and then we decided
Yeah, their
to mix
registry
that.
was. I really
A
actually
honey fund
liked
or
their
whatever.
registry. It was cash or cash.
That's it. That was
Yeah.
all it is. It was just like a honeymoon fund. That's like what we're doing.
Well, see, look, so
Well,
we
and
gave
that's
you a
why
mini
we wanted to
honeymoon.
give you. We wanted to
This
give you
is
a
good.
little bit of
Because
a
it might take a
kick
minute
in
to
the
get to that
pants.
honeymoon fund.
Exactly.
We're
And
doing
we
it.
also need you here, so
I know.
just
I
go
know.
to
I'm
the
in
Roosevelt for a
September.
weekend.
I'm going to go on a honeymoon in September.
Okay,
That's my
so
plan.
you can go. So good. You can go and have a couple of nights on us.
I will do that
and
sooner.
chill out.
Great.
I will do
Good.
that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he did get married. Spoiler
I
alert.
got married. I have a ring now.
Okay, so oh my gosh, let's see.
I have a ring.
You're not going to be mine. He's not. Neither one of these are mine.
So when we last left with Ryan,
Yeah.
he had a really powerful reading with Frank Paris,
Yes.
who I think Ryan, I'll let him speak, but I think he was surprised by the reading and how
Yeah.
deep it went. So do you want to tell us how you felt and then what happened
Sure.
afterwards?
Sure. Okay. Well, let me I had no idea what to expect when I talked to Frank. I've worked with like a lot of different people in the wellness space, and a lot of times it feels like nothing. I don't know. So I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know if I was going to expect it to like perform in any way. So I was like, I can't perform right now. I don't want to do that. So I was really shocked when the first thing that was said was, we got to work on your relationship with women. And I was just like, oh, it was such a hard thing to hear, you know?
Yes.
And especially, so I did what I haven't said is that day I got a text from my mom saying she's not coming to the wedding. So I know.
Did that happened after?
That happened before.
It happened before, and you.
It happened before.
Then you heard this.
And then I heard the thing from Frank. And so ever since that call, it was like, can I get my sister was trying to help get her to come to the wedding and all this stuff. It seemed like it was all going to happen and work out. And then I got a text like from her again, like 3 or 4 days before, saying just, no, not coming. I can't come. She blamed it on a whole Mexico thing, scared of Mexico. I think it plays maybe a role, but it's mostly, I think that she doesn't want to, see or be around my dad because I think she just feels guilty of things that happen. So anyway, so that's my news.
Wow.
No, I mean, there was
a moment where I was afraid that he was going to say that Mags is all wrong, and I was terrified. I was like, and he said the complete opposite. He said how wonderful and how much she loves you and what a beautiful soul she is, and that they were going to have children and all this stuff. So let's talk about Mags's reaction to it all, right?
Well, I told her about it. I don't know if she's like, I need to hear this. I don't know if she's listened to it yet.
Okay, so it didn't become a thing where you're like, listen, I need to watch this with you. Or
I did tell her that. I did tell her about it, and I told her I was like surprised by what the person said, and she was like, "Oh, I've got to listen." But she would have told me if she had listened to it. So I don't think she has it. I think she's forgotten. So I should remind her, I guess, because I think.
Well, there was a lot going on for her at that exact moment.
It was absolutely and the most stressful time of my life. Yes. That whole thing was insane, absolutely insane. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I haven't talked to her about it.
You haven't told her about the children?
I did. I asked her about the children. I asked if there are twins in her family, and she said, I think on one side of her family. Yeah. So, I don't know. So that's still a possibility too.
Oh, that's.
What I heard from Frank, and of course what you would hear from Frank would be, I mean, I can't imagine because I know the layers that go after he speaks to you.
Yeah.
But there was clearly clearly the relationship with your mother has been one that has been a boundary breaker.
Yeah. It's been a tough relationship.
Is there a way that you could describe it to us that wouldn't make you feel that you were exposing too much? Does that feel like an unsafe place?
No, it's fine. So when I thought it was 21, but then I talked to my sister. So it was a couple years after, maybe it was 22 or 23. I got a call from my mom. She called me crying, saying that she had an affair and she's leaving. And she had told my dad that morning, and she was about to tell my sister. My sister is 10 years younger than me. And they're going to wake her up and tell her together, and then it's over. And I had a really hard time understanding. She was always the nurturing one to me, and always like the person that I could go to when I had any issues or anything like that. I was more like afraid of my dad, he was the father figure kind of person. Those roles have completely changed now. But so I remember after that call, I was just like, are you okay? Is everything fine? Like, how are you? And anyway, slowly it developed where I just got angry. I just got mad. And then I saw what, my dad's suffering. And I was just upset by the way she chose to go about this whole thing. And I just got pissed. I didn't talk to her for a few years. Slowly started talking again. And they still they've not seen each other since that. I'm 36 now, so I don't know how long that's been, 15, 13 years, something like that,
So how long were they married when that happened?
21 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And, that's it. She remarried. She's remarried. He's been in a relationship now for 9, my dad, happy. They're both like living their best lives. I mean, at least that's what it seemed. It makes me think that because of this whole wedding situation, that she's still got some shit she's dealing with, even though right now she's blaming it on the whole not coming because of Mexico. Right. So, I don't know.
What has your relationship been? How have you had any? And also, I'm thinking about your sister too. Did your sister and you bond over this?
It was tough because I was already out of the house,
right?
And I felt really guilty because she was stuck in the middle of it and getting tossed back and forth between the two of them. As soon as she turned 18, she got out as quick as possible because it was just a mess. And they were just putting making her make these decisions. Like, who do you want to be with? Who do you want to choose? All this crap, and that's really hard, And so if I was 22, 23, she was, 12 or 13, just such a hard age to, like, you're already dealing with middle school and high school. And anyway. Yeah. So, I mean, I actually got really mad at her because she took my mom's side, because my mom is she's very nurturing, and she pretends like nothing's ever wrong. And so she made my sister feel that way, I think, and so and my dad was just sad and angry and
you were out of the house
and I was gone. Yeah. So her and I fought about it because I was just like, I just didn't understand, I feel like I understand a lot better now. And now she is an adult and is
she still with the man that she left your father for?
No. So yeah, that was just a thing. I guess it happened a few times. She would go and do her thing and come back, and I don't know. My mom said that she had wanted to leave the relationship, but she was waiting till my sister got out of college, which I think is also a really crazy thing to think, that she was going to try to make this work.
People do that all the time.
And I was just like, anyway, yeah.
Well, so there's still a healing that needs to happen between you and your mother, it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, she left me after the wedding, and a few days later, she called, left me a voicemail, and I have it on my phone. I still haven't listened to it. I'm not ready to listen to it yet.
Really?
Well, yeah. I can.
Can we listen to it right now?
I don't think so.
You have 2 supporters here.
Come
on, we can support this.
I don't know.
I not only. I can relate to that because I don't know if I've ever talked about this with you, but when my parents were married for 35 years, and I was actually pregnant with my daughter, and my dad left my mom, and it was, I say to this day, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me in my entire life. It's harder than my own divorce, their divorce. And I was a grown person.
Yeah.
And I remember just being so surprised. Why is this so horrible? Why is this so painful? Why is this so life altering, shattering?
Yeah.
And it was. And I did not speak to my dad. I spoke to him, but we didn't really have, it took a decade for me to get over it. And I got over it by, you know, talking to a friend of mine saying like, you know, they're just people.
Yeah.
Like they're flawed people. And we don't often look at our parents like they're just actually humans that are flawed.
100%.
And yeah, she fucked up and she, but it doesn't, and then it started to happen for me when I was in my own marriage and I was like, oh, this isn't working.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about God, I'm picturing leaving. And when I was picturing because I also took it as my dad not loving the family.
Right.
And if he only loved the family that much, he would stay. And it wasn't until I was in the position of kind of wanting out that I realized I don't love my kids any less by wanting out of this.
Yeah.
I not even a little bit.
Right.
I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And so, but my parents to this day are still not in the same room together ever. And it ruins holidays.
Yeah.
It ruins, you know, I have to pick who comes to the baptism, who comes to the graduations, who comes to
I was
all
very
of that.
stressed about this wedding. Like I told Mags, I'm like, I don't want to invite family at all. Like, can we just do it with friends? You know, like, can we not have to deal with it? Because I knew this was going to be a thing. And then she's like, I can't not invite my family. She was like, I have to invite my family. And I was like, okay, God, I can't. If you invite yours, I have to invite mine. So,
which is why it's so important for divorced parents which is why I've killed myself literally. Well, not literally because I'm still alive, but I have worked very hard to keep a good relationship with my ex with the sole goal that we can be in the same room together.
Yeah, I wish that could happen. And maybe, you know, in another 10 years, I have no idea. But I mean, my parents had me when they were 18, 19, you know? And so like, I remember at one point, you know, in my mid to late 20s thinking like, holy shit, they had like a teenager at this point, you know? And I was just like, that's wild. I can't imagine. I'm still trying to figure out my life.
How old was your mom when she left your dad?
So she's like, you know, 19 years younger than me. So
don't make me do math. Have you met me?
So if I was 23, so I mean, 22,
no, she's 19 years older than you.
Yeah. 23.
She was like 40.
Yeah, early 40s, right? Does that sound right?
Yeah, well, that's about when it happens.
Yeah.
That's about when you can't do it anymore.
It's so horrifying. You know, James, I was never married to him, but James still says to me, he will still text me, you destroyed this family. You did this to us. You did this. You made this happen. It's like, I did not leave Atlas and Homer. I left you. The adult relationship wasn't working, and I think it's really horrendous when parents ever even say this in front of their children. As James does.
But the children feel it.
The children feel it, and I go over there and I bring them things and I sit down and watch movies with them to try to massage the part of the soul in the child, my boy Atlas, to say this is going to be okay, but it is so incredibly confusing to children. And I'm amazed. I always say that I was amazed by you being so upset. This is one thing that you said. You wished your dad would have stayed with your mom.
I wish my dad would have stayed with my mom and had a side piece.
That's what
you wanted the side piece.
Because
she would prefer
because I think that, you know, and look, now I see it didn't turn out as well for my mother was, you know, didn't see it coming and has had a harder time. You know, my dad is living his best life.
Yeah.
And my mom is, you know, she's fine. She has friends. She met somebody that was wonderful and then he died of cancer. So that was horrible. So it's a little, it's, you know, but I still stand by. That's the worst thing that it was devastating to me. And I was 30.
Yeah.
What do you see on the other side of it, Ryan? How do you see a healing? Do you see the other side? Do you see the flip side where this emotion can be turned into something how do you see the vision of the future being with your mom?
Oh, with my mom. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. I've never seen my dad happier, and so like that makes me feel so good
Than he is
inside.
now.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and he had to go through a whole horrible. I've never seen him cry before. Like that was watching him
yes,
cry and
that's
him
the
come
worst.
into my arms and hug me when all this was going down was one of the most insane things of my life, and but now he's so far over it and he just doesn't care, and he would have no problem seeing her, even though he was the one that was hurt. That's why I think it's a guilty thing. And I don't know, I thought that my mom and I were fine. I was still very bothered by the whole situation. I don't necessarily know how to even address it with her. She still blames my dad for certain things when I see her, which I don't understand that either.
Somebody doesn't have it. I mean, just for perspective, you don't go and have an affair because everything's working out perfectly in your marriage.
Obviously, obviously there was some kind of communication issues in the relationship.
And that doesn't mean her putting that on. I'm sure she's trying to balance it out. But if you were to see into the wound here, or the original wound that is going to continue with her, how do you think that could be? How do you think that could be flipped?
I don't know. I mean, I think that I just need to forgive her in some kind of, I mean, that's literally
that's what I did. That's what I ended up doing, because
that might be what we're getting at.
Yeah.
You life is, there's going to, she's not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And people are imperfect.
Right.
And I think the thing to just really stick is that she didn't do it because she loves you and your sister any less. She did it because she just couldn't do it anymore. And I bet you if you asked her, she would have handled it differently too. But when you're in that moment,
right,
it just
felt like her not coming to the wedding last minute also felt like a very
similar
jab.
Yes, of course it feels like that.
It brought back a lot of those same feelings for me.
Of course.
Yeah.
And also rejecting you, not bringing you into the equation, but you were a 22-year-old man. You could have, you were an adult enough for her to have shared this information with you, made you feel cared for in that, or at least a part of the dynamic that she was considering. You didn't feel considered.
I guess so. Yeah.
Also, people oftentimes do the best they can and are flawed. Yeah. And you just there's
some that are more flawed than others, for sure.
But there's family where you just have to accept them for not being exactly who you want them to be, and.
Well, the fact of the matter is you don't have a choice.
And decide not to be disappointed anymore.
Because it's already happening.
And decide not to be disappointed in them anymore, because
that's where I need
they
to be.
are what
that's
they
the
are.
decision to make.
Yeah.
That decision to make. Somebody told me something really interesting about forgiveness, because forgiveness, everybody's like, yeah, I got to forgive my mom. No, I don't actually. I don't want to. I'm not interested. I don't. You know what? I'm no.
Well, yours is a different situation.
No. I understand that, but what came of it, it was a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
That forgiveness is really about forgiving yourself, man.
Yeah,
and I was like, what do I have to forgive myself? All of my inability to be able to handle, to deal with the pain, can we really address our attachment to pain in a situation and say, I forgive myself for being in that pain and not knowing how to get out of it, but I forgive myself now. I can accept what has happened. I can tell the truth about my story, which is the first badge of honor by being able to move on. You can now give that story to the gods. You shared it. That story with your mom is something that you gave to others to care for. Now being able to look at it and say, okay, I can actively participate in a choice to move forward. That's what we do in Better Together. That is a part of the practice. I actively participate in taking care of my feelings and saying, I don't need to live with this anymore, but I can forgive myself for the things that were so confusing and hurtful and painful that might have adjusted my behavior with others. And I accept that for myself, and I'm going to move on from here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's exactly right. That's right.
So, Ryan, do you forgive yourself?
He didn't do anything.
I'm just explaining. Ryan, do you forgive yourself?
I think once I listen to that voicemail, maybe.
Oh, then you'll forgive yourself after the voicemail. You can't forgive yourself right now, but
I'm holding on. I think
you're
I'm holding on.
You're close.
I'm
Can
very
I
close.
give you? Can I give you a hint? You can forgive yourself right now, and then you can listen to the voicemail, and you might be able to listen to the voicemail with ears that might hear it.
But again, what I say is don't be disappointed, because if you put yourself in that position for your mom to disappoint you, that voicemail is not going to say what you want it to say.
That's why
and
you have
then
to
you're
forgive
going to
yourself
be
now.
disappointed again.
That's exactly right.
Well, that's what I feel like is exactly what happened, is that I set myself up for disappointment.
Yes.
Well, you're doing that right
And
now with the voicemail.
you're living in the fear of it rather than in
I
your
don't think so.
presence of it, because you are having that be the thing that is overpowering you rather than you being in the center saying, listen,
I'm just
this
a
is
little
what it is.
angry and I don't want to hear her. So that's
Okay,
basically.
that makes sense. I get that.
Okay.
I get that.
That's all that
I get
is.
that.
I don't think I already know. I mean, now that I see this pattern,
Yeah.
I just feel like I know what to expect, and I don't like it.
Right.
But at least I know that's what's now I know what to expect in the future.
But it's possible that she did both of those things that she did, leaving in the way that she did, kind of running away
Yeah.
and not coming to the wedding,
Yeah.
is because she's like we've discussed that you and I are both, which is somebody who does not like conflict.
That is clearly she does not. Yeah. Both of my parents actively try to avoid it. 100%. Yeah. That's why I think it's an excuse, because she did not say this stuff about Mexico. I mean, about why she's not coming to the wedding. She
Because
only
that's
said
avoiding conflict.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She only
So-
said she's scared of Mexico,
Yeah.
even though, we had people driving her and all this stuff and, yeah. So no, I agree. Yeah.
So we all learn from that,
Anyway.
that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
We're all going to I'm working on that.
I have no problem with confronting conflict.
I know.
So today we were going to actively participate in something with Ryan here, and we're going to look at our lives, and we're going to say, listen, I'm going to take a look at my emotions. I'm going to seek getting out of the pain of my life and the behaviors that I've had around it, look at it with clarity and truth, and move forward in loving kindness. Thank you for being on our show today, Ryan.
Thanks for having me again.
We love you.
Love you too.
We're better together.
And a big thanks to our Better Together team, Ryan Tillotson, Silvana Alcala, Daniel Ferreira, and of course, Ann and Heather. If you haven't already, please subscribe on whatever device or platform you're listening to this on. And as always, see you next week.